We all know Peter Griffin is an absolute menace to the town of Quahog in the present day. But if you look back at his history, his past is filled with just as many terrible, questionable, and straight-up disastrous decisions.
We're all your children. We came from your semen. Semen. Semen.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into the worst Peter Griffin past history in Family Guy. Let's start the show. We are kicking things off with Season 15, Episode 20, an episode where Peter's highly irresponsible past officially catches up to him. Have you ever wondered what would happen if Peter's youthful indiscretions literally showed up on his doorstep? Well, a simple prank call leads to the shocking discovery that Peter used to be a prolific sperm donor, resulting in dozens of offspring invading his home, and one of them setting his sights directly on Lois. The story kicks off during a ladies' night out where Lois, Bonnie, and Donna decide to have a little fun by prank calling their husbands.
Who is this? Is this a jerky boy?
It's your wife, you big dummy.
Looking for a good laugh, Lois calls Peter and pretends to be his long-lost daughter, but instead of laughing it off, Peter completely panics.
Hello?
How'd you get this number? Don't you ever call here again!
What the hell? He just got mad and hung up.
Suspicious of his incredibly nervous reaction, Lois tails him the very next day and catches him visiting a local donation bank.
Peter, what are you doing here?
Lois, I'm just shopping.
Backed into a corner, Peter finally confesses that right before they got married, he made several donations to the clinic just to score some extra cash.
You were a sperm donor?
Yeah, I'd almost forgotten about it, but then last night I get this call from a woman who says she's my daughter.
Fun bonus fact. This storyline was actually inspired by a real-life friend of writer and producer Chris Sheridan, who was rejected from a clinic after they learned he had fathered numerous children from donations he made in college for beer money. Hoping to make things right, Lois forces Peter to sign a release form allowing any of his donor children to contact him.
All right, I'll do it. You know what? It feels good doing something nice for others. Like when I was a mentor for Kid Rock.
The very next day, the Griffins get a knock at the door, and Peter is greeted by a beautiful supermodel named Katie, who excitedly announces that she is his daughter.
You look just like...
What's going on? Who's this supermodel?
I'm Katie. I'm your daughter.
You're what?
But Katie didn't come alone. To Peter's absolute horror, dozens of his offspring suddenly swarm the house. The crowd is filled with a bizarre array of mini-Peters coming in all shapes, sizes, ethnicities, and backgrounds.
We came from your semen. Semen. Semen.
But things cross into peak sus territory when Lois bumps into one specific son named Larry during a family cookout.
You almost dipped one of your yabos in the marinara. Let me help you with those.
Why, thank you. That's so sweet.
Larry is basically a spitting image of the man Peter was when Lois first fell in love with him. Caught up in the nostalgia, Lois agrees to go on a lunch date with Larry, followed by a trip to the park for some ice cream. However, the innocent outing takes a dark turn when Larry helps clean some ice cream off Lois's face and passionately kisses her. Despite knowing this is completely wrong and highly weird, Lois confides in Brian that she let it happen.
Well, he kissed me and I kind of let him. I told him it could never happen again and that... What are you doing?
And Larry certainly doesn't stop there. Later on, Larry offers Lois a back massage on the couch, which quickly escalates into him aggressively trying to take off her bra using his teeth. Peter walks in at that exact moment.
What the?
Oh, Peter, look, calm down. We're just friends. He's just giving me a friendly massage.
And after Larry boldly declares his love for Lois, the two lookalikes engage in a brutal father-son brawl. Because he is much younger and fitter, Larry nearly beats the absolute crap out of Peter. Luckily, Lois steps in at the last second and knocks Larry out cold with a potted plant, saving her husband and officially putting an end to this.
I got a pretty good one going right now, Peter.
You always do, Lois. I love you.
Moving on to Season 15, Episode 17, we get to see exactly what happens when Peter's deeply rooted childhood insecurities finally boil over into the present day. Have you ever wondered how Peter would handle being completely shown up by his own wife in front of his heroes? Well, a fun trip to a fantasy baseball camp turns into a complete nightmare when Lois steals the spotlight, leading Peter's tragic past to fuel a brutal attack on the baseball diamond. The story kicks off at the local church where a raffle night is being held, with the grand prize being a fantasy weekend at Fenway Park.
Wow, they have everything. Look, you can even win a free drawing from a caricature artist.
The lucky winner and a friend get the ultimate opportunity to hang out and practice with retired Boston Red Sox players. Unsurprisingly, it has always been Peter's ultimate dream to play at Fenway, and as fate would have it, his ticket is pulled and he officially wins the trip.
How exciting, Peter. A weekend trip to Boston.
Yeah, and the best part is, I don't even have to get on a plane. I always have trouble at the airport.
Overjoyed, Peter and Lois pack their bags and hit up Boston for the weekend. Initially, Lois was just planning on spending the weekend shopping and relaxing at the hotel, but it turns out the camp is short on players and she is desperately needed to fill out the roster.
Look, your spot's already paid for. And besides, if you leave, the teams will be lopsided. So as your coach, I insist you stay and play with us.
Peter is totally against the idea, complaining that a girl is going to completely ruin his boys' weekend, but the other players convince him to just let her play.
So, what do you say? Are you going to let your wife play?
Absolutely. Lois, stay here and play with us. Aye.
However, the second they hit the field, Lois completely upstages Peter and proves to be an absolute natural at the sport. In fact, Lois becomes so incredibly popular with the guys that during the camp's celebratory banquet, she gets invited to sit at the head table alongside all the Hall of Famers, while a highly jealous Peter is completely ignored.
Don't worry about Peter. Now, come on, Lois. We've got you sitting right between Pedro Martinez and Ted Williams' severed head.
The tension completely boils over during practice the next day. While Lois confidently takes over playing second base, Peter is relegated to the simple role of being a base runner.
How could I miss, right? It'll be like tagging a barn. Sorry, Peter. That's baseball.
Driven entirely by pure jealousy and resentment over his wife's success, Peter completely loses his mind. With a head full of steam, he charges directly toward Lois and hits her with a wickedly aggressive slide tackle. The brutal hit sends Lois flying through the air, and she horrifyingly lands with a completely broken leg.
Peter, what the got into you?
Nothing. I was just trying to play hard, like Pete Rose. Look, I can even do the Pete Rose haircut.
Furious at Peter's unhinged and dangerous behavior, the coach permanently bans him from participating in the rest of the fantasy weekend. Later on, Peter finally admits to Lois exactly why he acted like such a maniac. He tearfully confesses that his terrible actions stemmed from his tragic past history as a child, where he was always the unathletic, fat kid who got picked last for sports. This fantasy camp was his one chance to finally feel like a champion, but when Lois stole his spotlight, all of that childhood humiliation rushed right back to the surface.
I picked you, Peter. And to me and our kids, you will always be a winner.
Thanks, Lois.
Feeling bad for him, Lois eventually uses her influence to get Peter back on the team so he can live out his dream, though he hilariously ends up suffering 2 torn hamstrings and a ruptured groin just from walking up to the home plate. Moving on to Season 21, Episode 11, we get a hilarious look at Peter's past through the lens of pure Hollywood fiction. Have you ever wondered what Peter's early romantic history really looked like? Well, when the guys start sharing stories about their first true loves, Peter's highly theatrical past is revealed to be nothing more than a mashed-up parody of classic rom-coms. The story kicks off in what is actually the historic 400th episode of the series. Peter arrives at the Drunken Clam after allegedly consoling his son, Chris, who had just gone through a tough breakup with his very first love. Of course, Peter's version of fatherly consoling simply involved abruptly leaving the room while a heartbroken Chris was left sobbing his eyes out.
Don't look, don't look. I think that's Colin Farrell.
Once he settles in at the bar with his buddies, the guys all agree that losing your first true love is always the absolute hardest thing to go through. This nostalgic conversation prompts the crew to start recounting the supposedly true stories of their own early romantic histories. However, it quickly becomes apparent that their pasts are entirely fabricated. Quagmire kicks things off by claiming he used to work for Federal Express and dated actress Helen Hunt.
Remember all that stuff for later.
Oh, I can't wait to do more than kiss. Only 3 more days till the wedding.
He recounts a tragic tale of his plane being struck by lightning and crashing onto a deserted island, completely ripping off the exact plot of the movie Cast Away without even trying to hide it.
Oh, please be food. Please be food. Oh, thank God I'm saved. Peanut brittle. Ah! From Peter Griffin.
Next up is Joe, whose own fake romantic history turns out to be a complete parody of the 80s classic film, Dirty Dancing.
Sure, whatever. The point is we danced great, and everyone was cheering for us.
But it is Peter whose past history takes the cake for being completely unhinged. Not wanting to be outdone by his friends' dramatic tales, Peter's romantic past is revealed through wild movie-style parodies of classic Meg Ryan rom-coms.
You know how I always wanted to marry a woman who looks like the Full House baby? Well, this was her. Meg Ryan. Swing!
He completely fabricates a highly theatrical and emotional past with women, mashing together various tropes from those iconic films, just to make his dating history seem incredibly cinematic.
Shh, 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 shh. Hey, shut up, Meg.
Excuse me, sir.
Sir?
In the end, it becomes entirely obvious that none of these romantic stories are actually real. It perfectly proves that Peter's version of his own history is rarely tied to reality, as he would rather invent a completely absurd, Hollywood-style past than admit the boring truth about his younger years.
That's a wonderful story, Peter. I'm always happy just to listen and be here for you.
For our final spot on the list, we are taking it all the way back to Season 3, Episode 14, where a simple attempt to teach Chris about his heritage leads to a shocking historical discovery. Have you ever wondered what would happen if Peter uncovered a dark, long-buried secret connecting his ancestors directly to Lois's wealthy family? Well, things take an incredibly awkward turn when Peter uses this historical revelation to selfishly demand financial reparations from his father-in-law. The story kicks off when Peter attends Chris's high school basketball game, only to find his son suddenly speaking in heavily exaggerated street talk.
Peter, what's wrong?
Meg, start at Psalm 41 and don't stop reading till I tell you. The power of Christ compels you.
Completely bewildered by Chris's new persona, Peter complains to Cleveland, who suggests that Peter should teach his son about his own cultural roots. Taking this advice to heart, Peter brings Chris to the local library to look into their Irish heritage, but while flipping through a genealogy book, they stumble upon a massive piece of family history.
And his great-grandpa was Thomas Griffin, a great philosopher.
Thomas, would you please go look for a job?
Why?
It turns out that Peter actually has a black ancestor from the 1840s named Nate Griffin. Peter is thrilled by this discovery, especially after reading Nate's diary and realizing that the gross, questionable Griffin family habits are entirely generational.
Oh, that laugh's in here too, see?
Wow. Then it's true.
Cool! I get to be black and Irish!
Eager to embrace his newfound roots, Peter even tags along with Cleveland to an African-American League meeting, miraculously managing to convince the group that he belongs there simply by referencing his extensive knowledge of black television shows.
Oh, God, I remember that. And all those seals died. It was all over the news.
However, this fun exploration of his past comes to a screeching halt when Carter and Babs visit the house to share their own family history.
Now, kids, don't be taken in by the man. Stay black and proud.
Looking closely at the Pewterschmidt family records, they make a horrifying realization. Lois's ancestors were actually slave owners, and they specifically owned Nate Griffin. As you can imagine, this makes the family dynamic intensely uncomfortable.
Peter, please calm down.
Babs, I think it's time we went to bed. Things will look better in the morning. Come here, kids. Give Grandma and Grandpa a kiss goodnight.
A situation that Carter only makes worse when he accidentally whips Peter with a towel.
You can whip me all you like, white devil, but you'll never break my spirit!
Fully leaning into his newly discovered identity, Peter dons a dashiki, demands to be called his slave name Katempo, and confronts Carter. He demands formal reparations for his ancestors' suffering, specifically asking Carter for a sincere apology and some Rice Krispies treats. Carter, being the stubborn and prideful billionaire that he is, refuses to ever apologize to Peter, opting instead to just write him a massive check for $20,000 to keep him quiet.
Fine, make it 20. How do you spell Kichwa?
Yeah, you know what? Screw the Kichwa. Make it out to Peter, P-E-T-E.
Instead of handling the situation maturely or donating the money to charity like Lois suggests, Peter lets his absolute worst traits take over. Selfishly keeping the reparations for himself, Peter blows the entire $20,000 to completely transform his living room into an exact replica of Pee-wee's Playhouse, complete with a talking chair and a talking fish.
In Peter's Playhouse!
Peter!
Wait, watch this. Hey, Jambi!
Disgusted by his selfish behavior, the African-American League completely disavows him, leaving Peter shunned by everyone in town.
Hi, guys. Hey, how's it going? Jeez, Lois, no one wants to sit with me. It's like I'm a freaking leper.
It isn't until Peter receives a bathroom vision from the spirit of Nate Griffin, who tells him that a man is defined by his actions, not his labels, that Peter finally realizes the error of his ways and decides to do the right thing by sharing his money with the community.
Just goes to show you, Lois. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. The only color that really matters is green.
Oh, Peter.